Have you ever picked up a tabloid while you're waiting to pay for your groceries, and you start to wonder if there are any decent human beings left in Hollywood? Apparently there are. While there are a lot of celebrities who've let fame go to their heads, or who have always been spoiled rotten, but there are still some who are surprisingly decent human beings. Here are the top 15 celebrities whose attitudes about life you will make your day. Continue reading and let us know if you agree. Rick Moranis is a comedian and an actor famous for his Second City television series, a comedy sketch popular in the 1980s. Apart from that, he also appeared in several Hollywood films. One person said, Rick Moranis quit acting at the height of his career so he could focus on taking care of his kids after the death of his wife. Andre 3000 is a super chill dude, walks around and is so unassuming you wouldn't know he's there. Saw him playing a wooden flute on the street in Philly, said you're Andre 3000. He just tipped his hat and kept playing, really cool guy just living life, one person shared. The second person replied, my favorite celebrity story of all time is about Andre 3000. Once Andre 3000 was on my ferry ride to Alcatraz and I said, hi, Roth wrote. My 6-year autistic son came over and started talking his ear off about German Shepherds, his obsession at the time. Andre talked to him about dogs for like 20 minutes. Roth added that he and Andre exchanged numbers and then 4 years later he received a text from him, which he shared a screenshot of. The text read, hi Jason. I was searching for a name, and yours popped up. I remember our cool encounter on the boat. Ha! How's the kid? I'm living in NYC now. So if you're ever here, please reach out. A third commenter replied, he tipped his hat to me too. I was at the ATL airport with a splitting headache drinking coffee and look up and he was just strolling by and I said, hey Dre. Tipped his hat and smiled, and kept walking. One person stated, I was a doorman in Tribeca for a large portion of my 20s. Met more high-end celebrities than you can count. From people who were in big Super Bowl commercials, C-list actors, up to Taylor Swift. I can confidently say that Chris Martin from Coldplay and Paul Rudd are two of the nicest guys I have ever met in my life. I love Paul Rudd. It would be so cool to meet him. It's hard to imagine him ever being mean or rude, the second person replied. Paul Rudd purchased a candy store in upstate New York with Jeffrey Dean Morgan because the owner died and they refused to let the heart of their community close down, another Redditor added. Saw a premiere once, and all the actors walked right past the bystanders, except David Tennant. He actually bent down to this little boy's level, answered his questions, and then talked to the child about his favorite things to do. All genuine. Lovely real guy, one person stated. He will always be my doctor, a second person added of Tennant's role in Doctor Who. Another user said, I met David Tennant at a convention autograph signing and he went out of his way to connect with every person in that line. I had him sign the birth announcement for my daughter, who I named after Rose Tyler, and when he realized what it was he congratulated me and told me how touched he was that I would name her that. Then he took time to say hello to my GFS daughter too, even though she was a toddler and could barely speak. In a convention setting like that it tends to be acceptable to sign things and then move along, and he took the time to make it personal for us. I've never stopped appreciating that. I went to an event at Carnegie Hall, and the balcony was filled with celebrities, Paul McCartney, Paul Newman, Woody Harrelson, Jerry Seinfeld, Alec Baldwin, etc., and Steve Buscemi. He was the only one who was looking down as we exited up the main aisle, so I waved to him. A big smile broke out on his face and he very enthusiastically waved back. He's been a favorite of mine ever since, one person shared. I will always love that story where he helped assist firefighters, since he used to be one before pursuing his acting career, following the 9/11 attacks, another commenter replied. Talk about role model material. Graduated from high school and college, at a young age because he is literally a genius. Dude's been famous for nearly 40 years and the worst scandal he's had was a misunderstanding about permission to parody a song, that he didn't even legally need in the first place, but he gets them as a professional courtesy, for which he profusely and genuinely apologized. He's absolutely lovely to his fans in person and lives a reasonably quiet life with his partner and their child. He's in his 60s and still puts on outstanding, energetic concerts because he maintains a healthy diet, avoids vices, and stays in shape. He updates lyrics that have become dated or problematic and generally tries to be a decent human. Even if you're not a fan of his musical stylings, you still gotta admire Weird Al the person, one person said. The second person added, I met him briefly once by accident in the 90s. He seemed very sweet and shy, and I was struck by the fact he was quite a good-looking man in person, handsome even. Only famous person I've met. Seemed very nice. One person shared, Hugh Jackman, I'm from Latin America and one time I meet him in a not regular place to tourism, all rural people, and I can talk with him in a coffee, is a nice man and is very kindly. Another person shared, there's a lovely clip of him coming across one of his former students on the red carpet. His genuine niceness really shows through. Another commenter added, can confirm. Truly nice guy. One person said, I love all his more comedic roles, George of the Jungle, Encino Man. I love his acting in the Mummy movies. He a great actor, and he's a wonderful man, and I want to hug him. The second agreed, yeah he's had a very rough life yet still came out of it without it affecting who he is as a person. I got to speak to him once at a convention before COVID-19 happened and it was pleasant being able to speak to him. Another Redditor added, my daughter got a photo with him at a con and he complimented her outfit and hugged her in the photo. She has always loved him and didn't come down from her Brendan high for months. Most celebs just stand there with you and don't interact. He is a gem. Dolly Parton is and always was a saint. Just visited down by Tennessee, and everyone absolutely loves her. Even today she lives in a relatively modest home compared to her wealth, like $1 mill, one person stated. My children have received dozens of great, free books from her reading program. Such an outstanding, unique, and useful idea, another added. I think part of her stage look, hair, outfits, cleavage, etc., is a Superman/Clark Kent type deal. She looks that way on stage so she can dress more normally and not generate as much of a buzz when she just wants to go about her daily life, one user commented. Bill Pullman is an American actor known for playing in films like Independence Day, Spaceballs, and Lake Placid. According to Redditors, Bill is not just a brilliant actor but is also a great guy. One person said, Bill Pullman, our Independence Day president. I worked at the school where he sent his kids, and he was hands down the nicest, most grounded famous parent I've ever met, and I've met many celeb parents teaching at that school. He and his wife were very supportive of teachers, always gave us these big holiday gift bags that included nuts and jams and honey made on his ranch in Montana and were joyful, wonderful people. Their kids were amazing. Amazing. The kind of kids that cheerfully help you move tables when setting up a class or pick up something you've dropped. And of course smart and funny and talented. I don't know if Bill Pullman is famous enough to be called a celebrity but dang it, I'll celebrate him anyway. Pullman will always be a legend to me because of Independence Day, Lake Placid, and Casper. He gave me a triple crown of, I can watch these at any time and be happy, films, another user stated. One person said, friend of mine ran into him at a horror film con, and apparently he had to be restrained nearly physically by his agent to not leave the signing table and go pet a cute dachshund someone had with them. Then once he was free, he made a beeline for that dog and was totally loving it up. That's a good person right there. Can definitely vouch for this. The man has a heart of gold. I met him when I was working at a shelter that housed refugee kids. Him and a few other artists put on a free concert for the kiddos there. It definitely was a memorable event for both the kiddos and staff, another user shared. Met him in person back around 2010, and he was just super nice and totally approachable. He makes you feel like you're talking to your uncle or old family friend rather than a star, another added. Steve Carell is an actor and comedian famous for playing Michael Scott in The Office. One person said, he filmed a movie in my hometown maybe a year and a half ago. I didn't cross paths with him, but several friends did, because he made a point of visiting the locally owned restaurants and shops when they weren't actively filming. Only ever heard that he was kind, gracious, and generous, including to servers/staff. Apparently, he always made time for pictures with fans who showed up and waited patiently near the set, too. I was glad to learn that he was truly a decent human being. Another Redditor shared, my best friend's mom did a campaign trying to save a pig. Long story. But Steve Carell caught wind of it and joined her plight. He came to their house to meet them, and they used to have a spot next to their toilet for bathroom writing. Steve dropped a grumper in their toilet and signed their wall. One person said, Daniel Radcliffe seems like a sound guy, and frankly, I respect the fact he made all the money he'd ever need by 14 and now just does whatever project he feels like doing. I also think he's a very underrated actor. Another user added, can confirm. I got to work with him at a venue when Swiss Army Man was at festivals. He is absolutely wonderful. One Redditor said, he definitely seems down to earth. Andrew Garfield, who plays Spider-Man, is also a great guy according to Redditors. One person shared, can confirm. Worked on The Amazing Spider-Man and he treated the interns like he treated the producer. He was a solid person. The second one replied, my friend used to serve him at a restaurant he would regular in Calgary. Nothing but nice things were said. One person stated, Sam Rockwell. He lives around me, and I have friends that have had random hangouts with him. They say he's super down to earth, really chill and interesting. Another commenter replied, great hearing this. He may just be my favorite actor alive today. That he is a chill dude makes me smile. Finally, the third added, this makes me so happy to hear. He's one of my all-time favorite actors, and I think he's underrated in Hollywood. So glad to hear he's a good dude too. Source, Reddit. Who is one actress you can never stand watching, no matter their role? After polling the internet, these were the top voted actresses that people couldn't stand watching. 10 actresses people despise watching regardless of their role. We've all heard the famous adage that, no publicity is bad publicity, and while it tends to be accurate, there are certainly exceptions. But what about those few stars who stay out of the limelight and get along without a hint of trouble? These 7 celebrities are genuinely good people. Have you ever known someone and thought you liked them, until you learned about their hobbies? Then you get to know them and then you're like, wow, red flag. Well, you're not alone, these 10 activities are an immediate red flag. Some celebrities definitely seem to enjoy the limelight and keep working to stay in the public eye, while others quickly move out of the spotlight. Many of these actors and actresses stepped out of the spotlight to live a more private life without constant media pressures. 10 celebrities that made the big times then disappeared off the face of the earth. We've all been there, sitting through a movie that we can't help but cringe at, but somehow it still manages to hold a special place in our hearts. These 10 terrible movies are still people's favorites.